Hello, agus fáilte go trí seascad den program ag BBC Alba a bhí sa taisbenog na Borraigh ingantach an sil spórs na ban in Alba. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus mí tilleadh rag bhil àrd-choidse Spartans Debbi McCulloch colrúm in seachdain-sa. Program na haiche noch, Cluinnidh sin bhó Debbi mún opair éichgil Spartans agus fear na parca. Ghéibh sin fachcail an sgìtheadair alpach Charlie Guest is déigi tilleadh na leathaidean, agus thuil sin flip the mindset to skip a ball-coise leathaidean. Debbi, welcome back to 360.
Thank you. Great to be back on the red sofa.
We finally got you back. You've been very, very busy, haven't you? So thanks for joining us again. Now, you are here the weekend after the split in the SWPL. It's been a big weekend. It's been a long time coming. It did go down to the wire. I know Spartans, for you, the aim was top 6. It didn't quite happen on Sunday with a 2-0 defeat to Hearts. How did you and the players initially feel after that result?
Yeah, I think we were all a wee bit deflated, if we're honest about it, and disappointed. You know, we felt we'd done enough. However, we knew that it wasn't really in our hands on Sunday, but we wanted to put a good performance in and beat Hearts. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I think for me, you know, the disappointment maybe isn't as much about being in the top 6. I think it was more around our performance against Hearts. We know we can play better and we can do better individually and collectively, but that's something that can be easily fixed.
That's the thing, you do know that you can beat Hearts. You have done in the season. You've come very close with some of the other teams at the top 2. You know that you can compete in that top 6, and for Spartans too, you're a team that haven't finished below 6th spot. I actually don't even know when it goes back to. It's pre-2014, you've always been 6th or higher. How did the players kind of cope with that on Sunday too?
I think, yeah, I mean, the league's continually progressing. It's becoming more and more challenging, and we're doing our very best to make sure that we try and keep ahead and we finish as high up the league as we possibly can. And I think, as I said before, you know, everyone was disappointed. I think everyone had high hopes, you know, probably over the last 3-4 weeks that, you know, we were going to do it. We'd been on a significant run of kind of being undefeated, I think, for 5 games. And yeah, it came down to that last game. And unfortunately, football's just like that. Sometimes it's 90 minutes, but it certainly won't define us or define our season. I think we've got a really good opportunity now to push on and make sure that we secure 7th place.
If we even just take a look at the table, things are very tight in that middle spot. I mean, you've got Glasgow City, Celtic and Rangers top 3. There's not really much between them. Hearts in 4th place at the moment, sitting on 40 points. You've then got Hibs, Partick Thistle, Motherwell, Spartans. I mean, between Hibs and Spartans, I'm trying to do my maths, but it's not great. There's 6 points between you.
Yeah, no, and I think that shows the competitiveness of those middle teams, and the league as a whole. There's 12 teams, I think, throughout the season. You know, it's been well proven that people can take points off of anyone. And even though we talk about the gap still being big, you know, the fully professional teams versus the semi-professional teams, I think on their day anyone can do that. But yeah, that middle part of the sandwich is certainly quite tasty, and maybe if there hadn't been a split, I think it would have been really exciting to see that unfold. But we're in the position that we're in, and we have to effectively deal with that, be positive around resetting our goals, and make sure that, you know, as I said before, we try and finish in that 7th spot. That will be our target. So
what is the plan now? Like you say, reassessing your goals. What do the next couple of weeks look like?
Yeah, we're pretty manic, you know, because I think, you know, the next 10 games come within a 7-8 week period, so it will be intense. I think for me, it gives us an opportunity to embed the younger players slightly more, even though, you know, across the board, if you're good enough, it doesn't really particularly matter to myself what age you are. If you train well and you perform well, then you'll start and you'll play a part in our team. But I think it allows us to maybe move a transitional period a wee bit further forward. That's not to say that, you know, we're going to be taking the next 10 games lightly or not taking them seriously. We want to get out of those 30 points as many points as we can, and we'll be setting a very, very high target within that 30 to make sure that we finish 7th. So I think there's still very much unfinished business. We can't take our eye off the ball because ultimately, even though there's a 9-point gap between ourselves and Dundee United and the teams that are beyond them, that can easily be lost. And there's certainly no way that we want to find ourselves, you know, in a playoff position where it comes down to one game of whether or not you stay in the SWPL 1. So yeah, our focus will still be exactly the same, our preparations will be exactly the same. However, this will maybe give us an opportunity to try some new things that we maybe couldn't put in place beforehand, whether that's around personnel or whether that's around formation. But you know, we'll look to take the positives from it if we can.
Well, let's talk about the league as a whole too, because there's been a lot of change. I mean, since we started 360, we're in the 3rd season. Throughout the past 2-3 years, we've seen the league go from strength to strength. It's really quite amazing to see the growth. But during that time, you've had to change and adapt to each change that there has been in the league, and you still have kind of kept your core group of players. How do you deal with the new demands that are on the team, and how do the players deal with that too?
Yeah, I think this season we had to be really creative around how we made sure that the gap between the full-time teams wasn't as big as we could make it. We wanted to make it as small as we possibly could. So for example, you know, we introduced double training sessions on a Wednesday and a Friday, so now the players have the opportunity to train 5 times a week instead of 3. That also involves them having a meal in between, which again really helps support players with things like cost of living crisis that we're currently going through, but also allows them to get a nutritious meal in them in preparation for the next session. But more importantly for me, they spend more time with each other, so they're able to build more effective relationships and deeper relationships, which I think is really important in any team environment. So being creative around things like that and how we use our own facility as well, which is, you know, pivotal for us, because we have a 4 million sports facility that we can use and be adaptable and be flexible with. So I think that's one of the big steps that we took this season. From next season, we'll look to see how we can take that even further and be demanding of the board for further resources and financial support with regards to ensuring again that we try to close that gap as best we possibly can, because it's not going to be an instant fix for us, and that's the reality of the situation, and I think that's okay, because you know, I've been involved in the SWPL for 14 years now. So when I look back and from, you know, in 2009 to now, the differences are hugely significant. And I think for the players, it presents them with more opportunity. It gives them a home and a facility that they can come to whenever they want, but presents them with an opportunity where they can develop their technical and tactical aspects of their game more often and more regularly. But I think for me, something else that we need to look at is how do we get the balance right between rest and recovery as well, because I think that's probably the wee bit that's missing. You know, if we are playing Celtic on a Wednesday, their players have probably had rest all day, been able to have a long lie, get a massage, foam roll, stretch. You know, some of our players are working 8 till 6 and then going on the pitch at 7:45. So I don't think that that's ideal right now for us. So we'll continue to be creative and try to make sure that we can give our players the best opportunity to be the best that they can be.
I think it's really amazing what you do, Debbie, and it's incredible to hear, especially what you do for the players who, like you say, most of them are working or studying for full time. I think it's great to see. It's actually, we've got a great feature coming up too of another team that are doing a lot in the community too. Well, hoshi skipper ball-coise flip the mindset than tosioch yn uri le amasgus at a savalche chruchers on denia vars on brun min slanche chain. Han club has the cumulrish principle in shin, ach le arvin a geri, hypenish erigol shach gu pyramid na ban gus barrachd earthis a yanu.
An skipper ball-coise flip the mindset còmhla gus Cluinnidh eile a àrd-choidse on the náte sábailte agus in Gabalach.
I had played a lot when I was younger, so I used to go to like the performing athletes in school, so I was a swimmer, but I'd also play football on the side. So I'd go during school holidays and stuff when I was really young, say maybe like 10, and it was like the Scotland girls like camps and stuff. So there wasn't really much girls teams, so I would play for like the local junior teams, like Trinent Juniors. That's who I used to play for when I was really wee, and I was the only girl that would play. So I was never scared of a challenge. But yeah, no, as I've got older, I've kind of played in women's leagues. I played for Borders Ladies and I've played for Blackburn also. So yeah, I have played 11s before, and I do. It's good to just get into it where some of the girls haven't played, so it's good to put that experience forward. And they're always willing to learn, so it's good. It's really good.
I actually found out off one of the other girls. She posted it on social media. I've known her since high school, and I thought, oh, just go along. I didn't think I'd ever get back into it, but here I am.
I had just been speaking about it with a friend, how we wish we'd have stuck in at football, and it was a good opportunity to go back to a brand new team and everybody in the same sort of boat, so it was good to get back. A bit daunting because I stopped playing like 20 years ago, so fitness wise and stuff I was really probably quite out of shape compared to what I used to be, but it's great. Everybody was very, very welcoming, and it's just been really, really good and lots of fun.
Hannig yn sgipper ag na bhith Cuideachd agus gymal lua hadys si as tro chwach na mian yn sòisealtan.
I think it's like quite daunting going along to something new, especially like with like loads of girls. It's like you want to fit in and stuff like that, so it was really good. Like everybody had a good mindset coming to it. I think everybody wanted to make everybody feel welcome and enjoy themselves. Like everybody was there for the same reason.
The girls are all fantastic as well. We've had some social nights out too, so the social aspect's really good. Everybody cheers each other on. If we make a mistake, you know, we go again and that's it. Also the men's team as well, so we normally go and try and support them when we can. If we're not playing at the same time on Sundays, we will all back each other up and try and support each other when we can. Some of the guys come and help train us, which is amazing also, so the support network and everything like that is there too.
You're going back to do something that you're maybe nervous about already, and I just think everybody, and the message was clear, everybody was there for each other and we're all in the same situation, and it's worked out great.
An skipper Cuideachd gamas áte boscoilte agus ánara chohocal do chluicheadar an Muslan ching. Rutagan haide been a bhonach mar ha do Cuideachd.
The girls here are like probably like one of, sometimes you want to give up, but it's because of the girls you just keep coming.
Like some of the girls, obviously people that are here, we have obviously suffered with mental health in the past. I have myself. So having that networking is fantastic, because you know that if you're having a down week, the girls aren't trying to say they're having a bit of a rubbish week or work stressful. Some of us have like really like important jobs as well. So one of the girls is a police officer. So like for example tonight she can't be here because she's on night shift, but we support that fact that she does that for her community. And myself, I'm a support worker for autistic adults. So we all have stressful jobs in our home life. So we leave that at the door before we come here, and we go out and we enjoy the 2 hours that we have with each other.
To be honest, for a while I wasn't very much a people person. Kind of fell away from my old self, and then I think just being at this club, it's just really brought a wee spark back, and I feel a lot better and mixing with people and stuff, so it's all good.
Ag táiseach na bliana chaim club fó bhreachtach an SWF, agus an drasta hat a fiachad í seachdain an líga hyn sonna na hézan. Bachad í táiseach gma son gemichan na bhuineag.
It was a bit of a shock because it came really quickly. We hadn't even really got much of a pre-season in, to be honest.
Very, very like nervous going into it. I was very scared, but I think all the girls were the same, so it was like we were all doing it together, which made it so much easier, but it's still now, it's still scary.
But we had been together and meeting up on a Thursday evening, just trying to find a pitch where we could play, whether that be down at Glasgow Green, to like the Tory Glen as well. So to be honest, it's been great for us as well, because to get our fitness up to scratch, but for us the eye on getting back playing in that league, getting to know each other and how we each play, and I think next season we'll be striving for promotion, definitely.
It's just surreal. It's something that I always wanted to do, growing up, and I kind of fell away with football at a young age, and just to be in a sort of semi-professional league, it's quite surreal. And going to places like Anne in their stadium, that was just really thought I was dreaming, to be fair. So it's exciting, but it's scary as well.
An nist gyfil yn skipper idd blasatain gyfal cosio farpysio, ha cíad cafach orra yn clubba hort gan na eadar.
I think we could go places. I think we've got the determination and we've got that bond, and I think as long as you've got that bond, like, I think that you could do anything, like, if you really put your mind to it, which all the girls want to do anyway, so I think we could go far.
Strong mentalities, and obviously the name, the mindset, it is about, you know, how you respond to things, like maybe being out injured and different things and being frustrated. You know, everybody pulls together and cheers everybody on and genuinely is there for everybody else and makes everybody feel better. So I think they can go far based on that, and obviously what they can do in the pitch as well.
Han skippe son tilleadh bodden a hálag is die talenting or a cleach go cuach spars, gus coirs nach haicalach ruachog, le pleavach a sgìtheadair is long changing.
None of the girls here will judge you, trust me. Yeah, no, like I say, we're a big community as a whole. But yeah, no, give it a go. You never know. Some of the people that have come here have just been runners and they're just kicking a ball about. Who cares? Nobody cares. It's just that fun aspect, and it's like a lot of people, I feel like kids nowadays as well, like behind closed doors, faces on a phone or a tablet, it's just 2 hours out of your week that just gives you that wee bit motivation, getting fit, dropping the weight off, whatever it means to you, it doesn't matter. We'll all be here and supporting you.
Debbie, how great is it to see a team like Flip the Mindset doing so much for players in the community, for their mental health, for their physical health?
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. We have a similar programme at Spartans called Still Kicking for females that just want to play football and do a wee bit of physical activity every single week. And I think it's so important, you know, having regular physical activity, but also for their mental health too. It's invaluable, and it looks like they're doing a fantastic job.
I was just going to ask, how important is it to have teams like Flip the Mindset and Still Kicking? You must see firsthand what it can do to people.
Yeah, I don't think we can ever underestimate the power of sport and how it can bring people together. You know, I've been very fortunate to be involved in sport my entire life, and I've got relationships that will last a lifetime because of it. But I also just think providing that environment where people can be open, where they feel safe to talk about maybe challenges that they're facing and have that support network around them is, yeah, it's really inspirational and hugely beneficial, no doubt.
And invaluable too. And how great is it to see the ambition from this club? I mean, you can probably draw a lot of similarities too from what you've done with Spartans and growing the club as well.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, maybe we should put Still Kicking into a league. However, I think it must be quite challenging going from that recreational element to being competitive.
Yeah. But
they seem to be dealing with it really well. But yeah, no, it shows that they've got ambition and aspirations, which I think is really important. And, you know, yeah, I hope they do really well and they achieve whatever they want to achieve, because they seem quite relaxed about it too. I think very much, whether you're playing at the top level or you're playing at a recreational level, like, you have to enjoy it first and foremost. I think that's hugely important, and they seem to be having a great time. Yeah,
they do. You can tell that they just love it, can't you? But what does it actually take to grow a team like that from the start?
A lot of energy and good people. I think that's the most important thing, and it seems like they've got a lot of great people there, and I think the people behind any project is really important. But yeah, they'll be using a lot of their own personal time, and it will probably be a lifestyle choice, no doubt, for some of them. However, if you've got that strong infrastructure around it, then you can achieve anything you want to achieve.
What advice would you give a team like Flip the Mindset?
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, but make sure that you enjoy it. I think, like, you know, if they've got the aspirations to go up the league, then go for it. But as I said before, just make sure that you've got the right people around you and that you make good choices, and I've got no doubt they'll be extremely successful.
And like you say, get Still Kicking in the competitive league too?
Potentially. There's probably a lot of the players back in Edinburgh a wee bit worried about that, but yeah, I'll maybe take that up with Robin McCaffrey, our Girls and Women's Development Officer at the Academy.
I love that. It's great to see. And also, Debbie, can you just tell us, as we're on the kind of the story of coaching and developing, you've also been doing some personal development with your coaching. You have been part of the SFA's coaching programme. Can you just tell us a bit more about that? Is it from last summer that you started it?
Yeah, it's an 18-month programme. So FIFA have a mentorship programme for coaches working in the female game. So there's 20 females across the world selected, and I was encouraged to apply for it via the SFA and did so and was accepted. And Went to Costa Rica in August last year for 3 days for the Women's Under-20 World Cup, where I was sitting in a room with World Cup winners, gold medalists, and yeah, it was a bit, what's the word, I had a wee bit of imposter syndrome, I would suggest, at the start, but everyone was hugely welcoming. But it provided me with an opportunity to meet my mentor, Joe Montemurro, who is the head coach at Juventus and previously of Arsenal in the WSL. So I've been working closely with Joe and just providing a journey with regards to bouncing things off each other. Plan to visit him at Juventus, Joe come to Spartans as well. And then in May this year, we're going to the Portugal FA headquarters, which I'm thoroughly looking forward for another 3 days. So it'll be great to catch up with everyone. It's a huge learning experience for me. Great opportunity and one that I'm really grateful for.
Adding to your title of one of the busiest women in Scottish football. Yes. Brilliant, Debbie, thanks so much. Well, in Uri, Sport UK geroid de taring fallen teich erget son sgioba alpach Faic àrd-choidse Charlie guest aan een Cuideachd. Vriendje Charlie gus fijn amach met een haniki, agus le classic en còmhla son een drieach en chumel dol. En ha Charlie is strep suas de rangen in, is kuch en sgioba shar veich gerief.
A seo hi brecht yn gyrach gychwg son y darn twrys a gemich yn Olympic ach y iawri. Hwyl y Charlie guest yn neach gros Sport UK y taring yn mynych hi ach ymach bo sgioba alpach. Y Faic àrd-choidse Charlie an y Cuideachd.
Obviously, it's not news that you ever want to get as an athlete, that your programs are going to be unfunded and that your coaches and staff that you rely on to do your job potentially don't have a contract or a salary or anything. So, yeah, it was massively stressful. I suppose about 3 weeks before we had a few murmurings from GB Snow Sport that UK Sport might not be coming on board, but they were confident that things would get sorted, which they obviously didn't then from UK Sport perspective. I think what was really great though is during the time that we managed to really pull together as a team, and we launched a crowdfunder which has been pretty successful and it's still ongoing. Which is helping us a lot with what we're having to pay towards keeping on competing. And then personally, I had a private donor come on board and a new sponsor. And that's taken quite a lot off of my mental plate, which has been fantastic. And it's really allowing me to sort of buckle down and focus on my skiing. But it really has shown our grit and resilience and has forced me, I suppose, to put myself out there more and forced me to really stand up for what I believe in, which can only be a positive thing moving forward. So, you know, it's not an ideal situation, but we've certainly made the most of it.
As Joey na Olympics, runnig Charlie en Cuideachd geaardig is een viergein die heen vochtig zoals na rangen. At de vijfleesig vai Cuideachd en een naam is drielis na doellang a hasen inching na de houwet en leathaidean.
Had made quite a big step forward under the guidance of my last coach for the last 3 years, but I'd also moved into a totally different league of skiing, and I was 26 in the World Cup and I want to be top 15 in the World Cup. I don't want to, do you know what I mean? I needed to make a step forward and I needed somebody that had the experience that could do that for me. And so I changed coaches with all the funding things. My serviceman decided to leave, and so I've got a new technician come in now as well. So it was a whole new team structure, which has paid off. And I've really stepped up the level of my skiing and training, but that hasn't managed. I haven't managed to translate that into the races yet, sadly. So early season races, you know, I was 9th after the first run of the first race of the season, which was a huge, like, that's the best run I've ever put down in World Cup. But sadly straddled in the second run. You know, that can happen in this sport. And the second day went out again and was leading 3/4 of the way down, and again straddled near the bottom. After that, we travelled over to the States, and I think mentally the situation got the better of me, because I knew I was skiing fast and I knew what I could do and knew my potential if I got to the finish. And then this problem with ski racing, again, you know, being the fickle mistress that it is, my brain was just like, okay, get into the finish. But because of that sort of thought process, I skied too conservatively, tried to control too many variables, and ended up being slow. Then end of December came, and I just had managed to sort of start getting things back into a little bit of a rhythm, scored a result in Austria, and but then the next day I broke my collarbone. So that put a stop to that sort of train moving again. So yeah.
Tá Charlie iad bhí tilleadh san dóis a haid tilleadh das as dhewi cnéb an núca a bhrisig. Na dhewi sin gotá by mí tilleadh lemar a raingi ag farpas na Cluinnidh o hiún na gudage.
You know, like I'm so chuffed with where my skiing level is, that it is with the medal winners and it is with the top 5, top 10 in World Cup. You know, that is 100% possible for me to do, and it's the first time in my career that I have the physical evidence that I can do it, rather than just like having the belief in myself and having the solid belief. Like, the physical evidence is there, and now it kind of feels like the last part of the puzzle is aligning my self-identity and who I like. I don't know how to explain this, but aligning my self-belief and everything together just to put that into the race package, because I have to say, for probably one of the first times in my career, at World Championships, I knew I could do some damage to the top 10, top 5 by completely, like, I'm going to admit this, I completely psyched myself out in the start. I knew what I was capable of, and controlled too much on the way down again of that first run, and ended up outside the 30. I finished in 31st after the second run, after making up a few spaces, obviously, in second run. But for me, it was really disappointing, because World Champs was not a reflection of where I felt or where I know my skiing is at the moment. So
Tá ada Charlie I tullig is a dhéanú, agus anna bhí fáin I the podium na stríche. Ha còideachd to be Faic tead I híing, agus satan nastar haid tían bhna háisií a skiag an dáiseach ag dúsan bliana agus.
Sadly, thanks to, you know, not finishing a bunch of races and then missing a bunch of races, I'm not going to make World Cup finals, which was my biggest sort of, I suppose, my most wanted goal of the season. So now it's all about sort of retaining ranking for going into next season, and trying to just score some good results. I think my focus for these next 4 main races is just to race, and just to sort of free my mind and free my head and just get into that racing mentality, which can only serve me well. And then in the future, obviously, is getting on World Cup podiums. And long-term goal now is like between now and Milan Cortina 2026, just getting some podiums. 12-year-old me, you know, who first started going abroad to start skiing and would see other teams, like, or professional teams, and be like, oh, like, look at that, wouldn't that be amazing if you could do that, or whatever, would just be so proud. Probably wouldn't even believe how far I've been able to get, to be honest with you. Like, as I said, I've struggled with self-doubt and self-confidence for a lot of my career, and yeah, I'm just very proud of where I've managed to get to, and I'm looking for, and you know, as I'm getting older and I'm becoming more experienced, I'm understanding where my values lie and what they are, and I'm just looking forward to being able to use my voice in the right way moving forward, and standing up for, I suppose, females in my sport and females in sport in general, and equal opportunity, and yeah, just see where we can get to. And I, fingers crossed, can get everything sorted. I'm really excited about the next few years of racing, because my ability's there, and it is a case of getting all the right bits of the jigsaw into the right places, and it'll be pretty exciting.
Well, Charlie just does not give up. How nice is it to see that positive mindset that she clearly has now?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like, she's got some level of resilience and determination in her, and you can see that passion for performance and success is really there, but she's also, you know, very calm and very focused. So I've got no doubt she'll be hugely successful.
And that's, like you just said there, that's a good mindset that you could go across all sports with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just think the fact that, you know, she's taking the next 4 races to just be like, I'm just going to race and I'm going to reset and I'm going to get myself in the mentality to like really compete, shows how mature she is and emotionally mature around being able to see how she can break down steps and goals to be able to get to where she wants to be.
And she's clearly learned so much from her career to actually get to that place now. The other thing, which is obviously quite important, is the funding that was pooled. It is quite amazing what a cash injection can do to a sport. I mean, you know that firsthand when you work with a football team, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, you know, us moving from SWF to SPFL was there to be able to present clubs with more commercial income, and it certainly has done that. Even something as simple as Mitre sponsoring the footballs and you're not having to spend, you know, £3,000 on, you know, 100 footballs and you get them, we got them free this season. It might not seem a lot, but it's a massive amount of support. And, you know, I think even like for ourselves at Spartans, you know, we signed our biggest sponsor agreement that the club's ever had with FNZ to sponsor from our underage right the way up to the SWPL team, so that everyone has the same sponsor on all home shirts. And, you know, it was really great to see how inclusive they wanted to be and build a really strong partnership around how we could promote female sport, but also give them the opportunity to be seen as too. So yeah, it can be a game changer, and it seems to have definitely been a game changer there.
It totally can. Well, we do wish Charlie all the best going ahead now. I think there's very exciting things to come. If we just stick with you and get back to Spartans, even just what we were talking about beforehand with your coaching role, what you're doing, how are things going and what have you learnt from that so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think like when we went to Costa Rica, there was a lot around analysis. There was a lot about leadership. I probably went into it thinking that we were going to be talking about tactics and player performance and drills and that, where it was the complete opposite. I think one area that FIFA are really big in right now is female health. So what are we doing to support female footballers around their menstrual cycle? What are we doing for female coaches that might be going through menopause? Because it's a wee bit of a taboo subject. It's not spoken about a lot. So for me, we already had implemented things at Spartans, but we kind of have taken things to the next level in terms of providing protein for the players at specific times of their menstrual cycle, because we know that that can help them with recovery and reduce the chances of injury. And just speaking about it, even in our girls' academy, you know, speaking to dads and mums about it and girls and saying, listen, this plays a huge part in your performance and your ability to perform on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. It'll affect them physically, it'll affect them mentally, it'll affect them emotionally. So what can we do to help? So those are probably the 3 main areas, but female health certainly is the biggest area.
That is amazing. And like you say, learned so much from things that you probably didn't expect to hear about during that time. So that's great. And also just tell us very briefly, we are coming to the end of the programme, but it'd be great to know how things are going as Deputy Chief Executive at Spartans, because I know you're balancing quite a lot.
Yeah, it's busy, but yeah, delighted to be in the role of Deputy CEO for the foundation. Really working hard with our community engagement and working with other third sector organisations to ensure that people are getting the help that they require. And then obviously got the head coach role as well. So yeah, 2 full-time jobs. Certainly a lifestyle choice, I would suggest, but one that I'm thoroughly enjoying. I'm enjoying the challenges of both.
Oh, Debbie, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been great to have you back. It'll be interesting to see where things are the next time we've got you on the programme. I'm sure the league will have progressed even more. But Debbie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, sin na haci gaibh in nach, and a cheachgain bí ofgar lesaí common ball-coise na Alba sab mewn a géisigain mun as an ball-coise na ban mar chuair seachad. Chun nuair sin, Jan Cuideachd go bhfuil seachdain BBC Alba son a thula fis Cuideachd 3 seachdain. Císin sibh in áthúras.